episode 154 of Futures Radio Show, sponsored by CME Group, the world's leading and most diverse futures and options exchange. CME Group's markets help individuals and businesses around the world manage risk and seize opportunities. Learn more at futuresfundamentals.com.
Every day, traders and investors dive in to tackle the ever-changing markets to find opportunity. Futures Radio Show is your number one source for answers to the questions that all market participants want to ask. Veteran futures trader Anthony Crudele sits down with the most influential leaders and top traders in the industry. Now, here's your host, Anthony Crudele.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the newest episode of Futures Radio Show, where we will highlight our favorite moments of the show over the past month. But before we get started, I want to thank all of our sponsors, CME Group, Trading Technologies, and Top Step Trader. So without further ado, let's dial into those top moments of the show this month. So Chris, here's the question I have for you right now. 40 years in this industry. You saw pit trading, point and click trading, algorithmic HFT quant trading. You talked about what you're currently doing. What is the next big thing?
Crypto.
So
it took me a long time to answer that question.
It took you, boy, you were ready for that one. What are your thoughts on the cryptocurrency space?
Well, it's the frontier. And it's, as we were talking in our office the other day, it's a little bit like crossing the Mississippi River in 1803. There are risks over there. There are Indians and snakes, and there's no lawmen, and it is wild. But there's also Dallas and Fort Worth yet to be discovered and founded and built, right? So this is the frontier. There's no answers, only questions. Once you get over there, you start asking questions, there aren't any answers. You're making them up as you go. And whatever you got with you is what you got with you when you get over there. The analogy only goes so far, but it's the frontier. The regulatory world is way behind, and that's not a criticism in any stretch, because the government is set up to move slowly. In many ways, that's a good thing, but it is going to take a while to catch up. The CFTC is actively involved in looking at it, and there's a couple of pieces out about the way that the CFTC looks at many of the assets that are being created that are mostly referred to as cryptocurrencies. I think they're much more like crypto commodities than they are like cryptocurrencies. But the trading community and the global community that's involved with these things sees them as a way of exchanging value. To me, a currency, and for the most part, the legal structure says that a currency is legal tender, and the laws that surround currencies are different than the laws that surround property. So these are much more, to me, like a block of gold, and you shave off a little piece of your block of gold to buy a cup of coffee with it on your phone. So it's much more like a crypto commodity than it is a cryptocurrency, in my opinion. And so we're working on putting together a fund that's going to trade crypto commodities. Our plan is to register it as a commodity pool and trade it under our CTA and use the current regulatory structure for these products. But there are a lot of unanswered questions there. For instance, the 40% rules about being declared a securities mutual fund. There are crypto assets out there that are being distributed that are parts of a company that's an operating company. The SEC has yet to say that those are securities, but if it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, to me it looks like a security. So we're going to try and stay away from our activities from trading securities. But there's nobody to go ask, right? There's no place to know for sure. And so we're going to trade these instruments that we think are, as I said, crypto commodities, not cryptocurrencies. But it's growing every day, it's moving, and it's actively attracting people. But there are risks and lots of unknown unknowns.
Oh, absolutely.
What I realized is that the biggest weakness in what I was doing was me and my emotions. So basically what I did was I wrote down all of my mistakes that I was making, and then I looked for a way to just start eliminating those mistakes.
But how did you know by going to a more systematic approach that in the long term it was going to pay off? Because I think the question that a lot of newer traders or struggling traders have is that, and the reason why they jump around is because something's not working for them now, so they're searching for the next answer. Like, what is the answer? And they don't see the long game. But you said that you were able to see from your mistakes and then choose a path. But choosing a path and staying on the path, I think they're very different, right? Because once you choose a path, staying on it is much harder. I could choose a different path tomorrow, and then all of a sudden the market gets busy, and all of a sudden I'm doing something different because I have FOMO, fear of missing out, and I start trading. How do you stay consistent on that path and knowing that in the end will work for you?
It was a gradual process, and I stay on it now because it works for me and I'm making money consistently. But it was a gradual process, and like I said, the biggest problem I had was over trading. So the first thing I had to do was I had to dial down my trading frequency. And the second thing I had to do, one big problem I had was I used to sell my winners way too early, and then I started it was a lot of introspection on my part. And I realized that the reason I sold my winners way too early was because I had too much money in each position, and I had too much money at risk overall. So the next thing I started to do was to dial down my position size, and then I started to dial down the overall risk. And I got myself to a point where I trained myself to get my positions small enough to where I started to get detached from the outcome. And when I realized that all of the problems really were centered around my behavior, I just got tired of losing money, to be honest with you. I'd make the same mistake over and over again, and I got away from trading. I took a break, and when I came back, I said, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm either going to spend some time and try to get some emotional discipline, or I'm going to move on to, blackjack or something else and just accept that trading's not going to work out. So it was a lot of introspection. It was losing money, over a period of time. And it was really just, I think the key thing was me just coming to acceptance that I was going to have to change my behavior if I was going to do this over the longer term. So it was, I just got tired of it. At some point when you do things wrong, you get tired of doing them wrong.
Hey everyone, I hope you're enjoying the show so far, but I want to pause and thank one of our sponsors, Trading Technologies. I started using TT in the year 2000, and I love it. It is by far the best trading platform I have ever used, and I've tried a lot of them. With TT, you can trade the global markets from virtually anywhere in the world. They are the world's fastest commercially available futures trading platform. I highly suggest you go try out TT, especially because you can try it for free. Just go to tryttnow.com and set up your account. I eventually fell in love with it, but how did you know that you were looking for that financial independence and you would get that through trading? Because at such an early age, it's not like so many people are saying, hey, I'm going to try out and be a trader. What triggered you to feel that way?
Well, basically, I wanted a job where I could make more money than the average person, but at the same time not be dependent. My income wouldn't be too dependent on someone else, so it would be a very individual performance metric. So I either made it or not. You either made it big or you didn't. And I guess I was full of blind confidence that I could make it. I just sat down and say, okay, if I want to make a lot of money, where am I going to be employed right now? What am I meant to be doing? Who is making a lot and fast? Because I've seen so much cruelty in my life towards animals. I thought, if I want to fix it, I need money and I need a lot of it. So,
I mean,
yeah.
What a way
exactly.
to find your way into the trading industry. I mean, really fascinating. And then you did what you set out to do. I mean, even more importantly, really, that's really awesome. Now, I want to talk about your trading style because you starting so young, I'm sure it's evolved and changed. But talk to us about going through that process. Are you technically based? Are you fundamental based? Are you using both? and talk to us about how that's evolved over the years to what you're currently doing.
So I started in the bank, and there it was pretty much all fundamental and relative value. So basically comparing credits to each other and sovereign credit worthiness to each other. Very little technical analysis. Time frames were longer, so you could be riding a team for a year or more or multiple months.
One thing I want to talk about with you is we talked about some technicals, levels being broken, the 1305 area, so obviously you're watching that. We talked about some fundamentals, and obviously everybody's got one eye on headlines at all times. What is your favorite tool for analysis?
You know what I like to try to do is I spend, I would say, half of my day just scouring and digesting news. So I'm always looking at what's going out there on the fundamental side. But what I also do is at the same time, I'm keeping an eye on those charts. So I'm watching what the big levels are. And I think that for me, it's a disservice to just try to focus on one aspect, to just be the technical guy, just be the fundamental guy. I think if you're going to be an overall well-rounded trader, I think you have to encompass all of those and really look at those together. So we really, like at my firm, what we try to do is really keep an eye on both of those together. Because, I'll give you a quick example. If you look at when you see the market, coming in and maybe it breaks the technical level, and the fundamentals have shifted, and all these longs start coming into a market at a specific price. What's very important, like this happened in silver a couple of months ago, you have to really look and see what is the price where everyone's getting in. Because that's going to be, as the market starts, as the market blows through those levels, where did everybody get in? And you're going to have to, and that's why you have to look at those charts, because below those levels, that's people's threshold for pain. That's people's break-even point. So you have to look and say, you know what, if when silver breaks, through 1770, if it goes up to 1850, if a lot of volume trades around that 1770 area, and that's where a lot of people are getting in, I would think below that level, that's going to be a technical stop-loss area, and I think that would be an area where people would be getting out. That's something you need to know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I learned early on in my career where you find the pain, you find a good move.
Exactly.
You'll find a few bucks there.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
They go hand in hand. I want to talk to you a little bit about your mindset as a big wave surfer versus a trader.
Yeah. So, with big wave surfing, the consequences are so high, which, as you know, is very similar to futures trading. So, waiting for the perfect opportunity, the right wave with, the right sort of setup coming into the reef with the right winds and the right line that you can take, that's the biggest thing to becoming a successful big wave surfer is you can't have these falls throughout the day. You really only got one or two of those in you. So, when I first started trading, I was sort of just clicking around and trying to jump on everything. And then I started to realize, hey, I've sort of already learned these lessons with my surfing. I need to figure out, okay, what's my best opportunity? What's my best setup? And I need to be very patient and wait for that and have it come to me, really, just like everyone talks about in trading. It's the same in surfing. It's, you're waiting for your best opportunity, and, you need to strike with confidence and aggressiveness when it presents itself.
I know that you like market profile, and I know that you use it on the shorter term, but I never asked you what you use on your longer term swing account. Are you still using market profile? I know you use fibs as well. What's your favorite tool for analysis for your longer term views?
I use market profile. Actually, I use market profile for weekly and monthly for longer swing trades. I know we kind of didn't really get into that before. And I use the daily for shorter term trades. And then fibs, pretty much everybody uses with, Tracy's secret sauce in there. But, I really still think, I'm a big advocate of market profile. I think it's highly underused. And really, when I was working on the floor, that's when I was first introduced to it. So it just kind of stuck, and I think it's just one of those really good tools that is not used enough or correctly by a lot of traders.
Thank you for listening to Futures Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments for myself or my guests, please visit futuresradioshow.com and sign up to be a premium member for free. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review on iTunes.